Hello and welcome to The Hill is Always Greener, a show where four friends go back in time to talk about the things they love about Sonic the Hedgehog. I did that very intentionally. I'm CyberLink.
I'm RockTheJake.
I'm GameBuddy.
And I'm Faulerro.
Good to talk to you guys again. Anything Sonic-y that's happened over the last week? I've got something, but I kind of want to wait a little bit to see what else everybody else is going.
Last weekend I got to see the new Sonic movie again for the second time in the theater, and it was just as great as the first time. So
nice.
Woohoo! Shining endorsement. Go see it as many times as you want, because it's still fun.
If it's still in cinemas, and by the time that we hear this podcast.
Good.
Probably on digital and Blu-ray, and you can go watch it as many times as you want, I guess.
Yeah, you don't have to even go outside.
And hopefully we'll have our dystopian future where we can just insert a memory chip into our head and just watch the movie through our eyeballs that way.
I mean, least amount of effort.
I am looking to get that micro SD slot inserted in the back of my skull. You know, it's a work in progress.
So you can finally get the homebrew version of your brain.
Exactly.
Mine's going to be a lot more cumbersome. I'm going to have this whole attachment that you got to stick on top, or really it could have just been something that you slot in the back of the machine. It's going to be like a 32X situation on my head.
It could be worse. You could have to stick discs in your back.
Oh, that's true. And that's also a lot more relevant for what we're going to talk about today.
We're really setting this up.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, and, not to date our recording too much, but I'm going to anyway, just a couple of days ago, we got an official announcement and all the juicy details of that Sonic Origins collection that they announced, late last year.
It was a good birthday present.
Man, oh yeah. Yay!
So if you guys are ready to hear hot takes about the Sonic Origins trailer which just came out, boy, you are several months too late.
They talked about they're not only getting new animation intros and endings for every game, but they're also restoring the Sonic CD one, which is relevant to today. They're restoring that one back from the source, doing some cleanup. I know they were talking about because I don't know if the original film for that probably doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, to be fair, if you've seen the ending sequence of it, like I did recently, it needed a little bit of cleanup. I think it's aged a little bit. Yes,
I think because I played semi-original hardware that even what was it, the PC version looks a little rough. I have fingers crossed for maybe we'll get a Mania Plus situation to where, this looks like it's going to do, I would hope, fairly well, like most Sonic games do, that we might get a physical release with some extra stuff. My wish list is, Knuckles and CD, and then, oh, goodness gracious, throw my poor girl Amy a bone and put her in a
if you're going to put her on the cover art and the opening animation, give her something more than what the original games actually gave her, which was not much.
But all that to say that I'm very excited, even with a few questions on, maybe some music issues that we probably won't know until it comes out. But I'm super excited. It's another one where I am very happy to support the people that are working on it. Oh man, and I didn't even mention that they brought back Tyson Hess and the people that have done animations for several Sonic projects, and friggin' Ian Flynn wrote the new animated segments. So it's my personal Sonic dream team is almost all working
Sonic
on these games.
Scribe. He is the man behind Sonic now. That's the way we wanted it to be. At least we did, because we're not weird people on the internet. Anyway, well, we are, but anyway.
We're just a different kind of weird.
Yeah, that's true.
We're the kind of weird that you can bring to Thanksgiving dinner.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good descriptor.
Not sure if that's actually accurate for me. I wouldn't know what I was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, you dip the turkey into the mashed potatoes. Yes, I see now.
Wait, you don't? Oh, no.
Did you had something to say, Luke?
Very, very, very briefly. In the what is now become traditional, Luke talks about a weird ROM hack he played section. PMEX Remix. It's a Smash Brothers Brawl mod that adds way too many characters. Please get rid of 3 of them. We really do not need Elizabeth from Fate EX whatever. Unnecessary. But
oh, I know several people on my Twitter timeline that would say yes, they absolutely need a character from Fate.
I stand by my statement.
A thing that I kind of know what it is.
Basically, it's a like super expanded version of Smash Brothers Brawl with like a gajillion characters, a gajillion stages, a bunch of extra features and stuff. And of course, there is way more Sonic content. You've already got Sonic, but you've also got playable Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, Silver, and Metal Sonic. And all of them are like surprisingly polished, but also they have Jet Set Radio costumes because this is based on like an expanded version of Project M, which had a Jet Set Radio Supersonic.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Neato.
And they also have 15 Sonic stages.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
as you want to do.
Real quick, Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Hydro City, Hydrosity, not getting into that. Casino Night, Sky Sanctuary, Emerald Coast, Radical Highway, Space Colony Arc, Pumpkin Hill, Egg Carrier, Planet Wisp, Starlight Carnival, Sweet Mountain, Tropical Resort, Terminal Velocity. It's a lot.
Okay. Those are sound like some good ones.
I am just happy that I have a relatively quality way to make Shadow the Hedgehog fight Vector Man, Sans Undertale, and I don't know, Sub-Zero over like all in a Lethal League fight, because those are all things you can do. And you know what? I respect them for it.
That sounds pretty good.
Isn't it nice to have such Sonic representation in a Smash environment? You know, it's just things we can dream of.
One day.
It's the awkward moment when we don't know who's going to say something.
I know.
It's really good. Do you want to know about my Sonic news? I played more Yakuza. I finished Like a Dragon and the Kaito Files and Lost Judgment. No,
nice.
It's Sega adjacent. We often bring it up, but I'm just saying they're good games. And Jake, we gotta get you on Yakuza 0 sometime
we do.
soon.
Yes,
we do. I finished Kaito Files, haven't started Like a Dragon yet. I'll get around to it eventually.
Oh, it's so good, man. It's real great. It's one of my favorite of the Yakuza series. It's so good. And it's a turn-based RPG. Who would have thunk it?
Very neat. Sorry, I used my good segue. We're talking about Sonic CD today.
CD's nuts.
You can't just steal that from the text chat that Luke when Luke said it like weeks ago.
I'm sorry.
I'm still very proud of that joke.
It was amazing.
This is a bit of a CD extravaganza, I think, because maybe we'll do a little more CD and move in the next few episodes. But for now, we're talking about the game.
We are, and this is kind of an important game to me personally because it was the second Sonic game I ever owned.
Yeah, I almost don't know where to even start, just because I didn't realize until I revisited that Sonic CD has kind of climbed up there as part of like the original trilogy to me, or quadrilogy if you count Sonic and Knuckles. And I know it's got its differences. I know lots of people like didn't play it at all because it required a weird peripheral, or was on PC later. But when I think of like classic Sonic now, CD is right up there.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was kind of like a pie in the sky sort of like, oh, if only I could play that sort of situation for me for the longest time. Kind of like Knuckles Chaotix, where you'd see it like plastered all over Sonic the Comic and games magazines as this thing that maybe one day I could place my hands upon this magical new enhanced Sonic the Hedgehog game. But,
yeah, I kind of have a weird story about how I ended up playing this, because I think it was it wasn't that late in the 90s, but I remember my mother went to a large garage sale. I think it was in like the gymnasium of like a church or something, where like, people, like tons of people brought stuff and, had like little tables set up. And I remember, I can't remember if I was even there or if she called me at home and said that they had some Sega thing. And she told me, like, described it, and I guess I somehow knew what a Sega CD was, but it was a Sega CD with a copy of Sonic CD.
Oh, wow.
That I knew would connect to my, I think I had the Mega Drive 2, or the Genesis. I can't remember if we got the Mega Drive 1 over here.
I can't believe you're just dropping Mega Drive all over the place now.
Well, everybody I know says Mega Drive now, and it's easier, Mega CD, etc. But it's easier to differentiate through the models too, because I think we started with the Mega Drive 2, which was the one, I think the hookups were a little different, and the Mega CD would go on the side, but on the Mega Drive 1, the Mega CD would go on the bottom. And so that's what it was the Mega CD 2 that would go to the side in that little port. And I think the person wanted like $20 for it, so it makes me think it had to have been not too long after it had come out. And so, yeah, like, that's how I got to play Sonic CD, was on the original hardware that, somebody dumped at a garage sale, because I guess they, didn't like the Mega CD enhanced Echo the Dolphin, or whatever was available
have they heard
for
the
it.
soundtrack? It's incredible.
And I remember it blew my little mind, because you pop that little disc in there. There's the little animation, that says Sega CD, with the little Sonic, and then that title screen pops up and doesn't look like almost doesn't look like anything I'd seen on a regular Mega Drive game before. And then that it was a weird one. I remember beating it at least got the bad ending and was able to see like that animation, and just it literally worked on me as a child. I was like, yep, they never could have done this without the power of the compact disc system.
It does kind of remind me of how I first played Sonic CD, because at the time, because it wasn't when it first came out. I didn't have that kind of money. I could not convince my parents to get me a Mega CD when it first came out. But it was around 97 or something. Because I think my uncle and cousins had a Mega CD. They had the classic one, the little DVD player one, like you mentioned, that you put underneath. And they had such classics as like Chuck Rock 1 and Chuck Rock 2, Son of Chuck. And they actually had Night Trap. So that's,
wow.
Oh boy!
Oh snap!
That was a really unique experience for me. It's awful now, but to see, to have a live action footage you can more or less interact with, it's a load of bollocks.
Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system.
What Nintendo?
But anyway, it was weird, but I was really into it. But Chuck Rock had like animated sequences at the beginning, and I was like, oh man, imagine if they did that for Sonic. And sure enough, when I finally got my Mega CD, which was a Mega CD too, the little one you slot on the side, just like Jeremy, got my hands on a second-hand copy of Sonic CD. Who would let that go away? And that opening sequence, to have Sonic animated, not just animated, but animated in a way that actually felt right. Because, God bless, we all love AOSTH and SAT-AM, but they never quite got Sonic right in that game sort of way. He had his mohawk, he was doing like a buzzsaw spin attack and everything. But you're seeing this wonderfully animated opening sequence by Toei Animation, where Sonic is like real, he has weight, he has proper set of spikes, he's doing a proper spin attack, and there's lovely music in the background. It's like, this is the cartoon Sonic I've always wanted. And it's only for a few seconds. It's like for like 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, I think people forget that, and you can still see these versions, but the CD version is cropped with some
it's got a little frame around it, so you can just shrunk down.
It's cropped and framed to still be able to work within like a limited color palette and a lower frame rate, but still it really did blow my mind. And it is like you said, it feels like Sonic in the game, because they very much like got the momentum down, and you see his little footsteps in the grass, and he zips through the water, and jumping up very vertical, and it really is like, this is how, when I closed my eyes and thought of Sonic as a kid, he moved like that little animation.
It's like, if you're everyone's got this. when you're driving when you're on a car trip with your family and you look out the window and some people would imagine like all sorts of like creatures running alongside them. There's like an actual term for it, I can't remember, but I'm always seeing Sonic bouncing across through the trees.
Yes.
And that's the Sonic I saw.
That is one of those things that, because of the connectivity on the internet, was like, oh, you did that too? And yes, the imagining different, imaginary friends running alongside the car. And 9 times out of 10, mine was Sonic the Hedgehog doing all kinds of cool tricks.
What else is going to go that fast? Unless you're really into Speedy Gonzales or something. Some people are.
But Luke, you said Sonic CD was the second game you ever owned. So like, what was it like when you first played it? Because we're all like kind of sharing our stories on it.
It was a magical experience. Like I've said before, I did not grow up with a Sega system, so I played all of my Sonic games through the Windows ports on Windows 95 or whatever. And CD was the second game I ever got. I probably would have gotten it for I think it might have been a birthday present in 97 or something. That sounds right in my head. But I had never even seen the Sega CD version. But when I got that disc, I saw that intro sequence and my jaw hit the floor. Like,
yes,
I must have watched it 20 times in just that first month of owning it or whatever. I was captivated by it. And, for what it's worth, like, the game is, solid too. I still remember like the first time I actually managed to get to the end and get the good ending. It was like, it really felt like I had that sense of accomplishment. And that was after, months and months of trying. Cause I don't think I ever actually got the good ending until like maybe 4 or 5 months after I got the game. And I was, it was still like one of the only things I was playing over that period because I was just like so obsessed with wanting to, fully beat it and get all my money. Well, not my money, but get everything I could out of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems, doing a cursory glance, that the PC version was pretty comparable. Like, there weren't that many changes. In fact, there were a couple of things that, we mentioned the opening and ending animations are like full frame.
Yeah, no, they're actually like
higher quality.
Yeah, they are of surprisingly good quality, especially for the time.
And those special stages were also like crisper, ran at a higher resolution.
Yeah, but there was also like there was also some pretty hefty loading times that were not nearly as significant on the Sega CD version.
That's true.
I was like, it didn't occur to me that, oh, no, you would just, like, the time warp was the load and you would just go straight into teleporting or whatever. I just assumed that, oh, no, like, this is normal. I should be waiting 10 seconds per time travel to get to the next thing.
It takes a long time to travel through time.
It's true.
It did. There was the one other thing about the PC version is because we got that over here as well, and we haven't actually talked about the 2 soundtracks yet, and I'm sure we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the PC version over here ended up with the US soundtrack, despite us having the Japanese sound and European, I guess, soundtrack for the first time. So it was a bit weird for me swapping between the 2 opening themes from Doom Room, Cosmic Zoom, Heads Up Jake, it's Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom, Sonic
Sonic Boom.
It is weird how they called out Jake in that. How did you feel about that when the first time you heard Jake?
My little heart just soared.
It's like every time they say heads up, you instinctively duck.
That's kind of an elephant in the room, and I think mostly we're talking around it because spoilers, but we're gonna do a whole episode about the soundtracks. But yeah, they did 2 almost completely separate soundtracks. That is the funny thing, is the US version is kind of incomplete because it doesn't have the past versions unique. Those are the same in the European Japanese soundtrack. So there's a little bit of a dissonance of style.
Is it because they're 2 different kinds of like music? Because there was CD music or for the all the other soundtrack, and the rest were like PCM, like basically Mega Drive tracks, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Is because since the past tracks were PCM, they were a lot more difficult to replace, so they just left them as is.
That's what they should add later on. Have for like classic, like US style pass tracks. That would be the ultimate complete experience.
Oh, that would be super cool. Because I mean, not to spoil my thoughts for future discussions, but I've been re-listening to both soundtracks outside of the game, inside of the game. I think they've both got like super pros and cons, and are very nice to listen to on their own.
Yeah. I believe the story was, according to Spencer Nilsson, that basically the marketing for Sega of America was like, most of these tracks are kind of like dance, techno music. We're not sure this necessarily fits for how we're trying to market the Sega CD. We want a soundtrack that's a little more kind of musically complex, which is why they asked for, a different kind of overall feel to the music, a different theme song, stuff like that.
This is weird, because we've had, like, American localization for Sonic before, but we've never had them go in and change the soundtrack, and I suppose they haven't been able to until now. That's interesting to think about, and it's the only time that would happen up until the release of Sonic X in America.
No,
that's a whole other can of worms.
Don't get me started. Oh, my God. No, now I'm sad. No, that is interesting. Like every little localization change, this came up in our Bible discussion. I try and take like my brain back to that to kind of understand where they were coming from, and I can kind of get it. There's definitely more guitar in the American soundtrack, but there is kind of like a little bit of a more like soulful jazzy to go with it. There's a lot of like...
It feels a little multicultural as well. There's lots of different ethnic instruments being used here. It's quite cool.
Yes, it's very neat. And I would describe the Japanese soundtrack as, kind of housey, more... like dance, trancey, that techno, but with lots of samples. That's where a lot of those vocals come from. I've seen people point out it's like sample packs, and they had a vocalist work on there as well. But definitely now I just think they both stand out as being like cool, like emblematic of the time, like and is why they're both like incredibly listenable on their own.
For sure.
But we're probably going to get to that more next episode.
Yes, definitely.
before we talk too much about it.
But that's just there for the people who are only listening to this one. The soundtracks were there and they were good.
The weird thing is that carried over into like even the Gems Collection re-release, because that was based on the PC version. So Europe still got the American tracks there.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. I don't know why. I felt like I was starting to feel a little bit of withdrawal for the one I heard when I was growing up.
I don't blame you.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like it's the I like the US soundtrack, but it was weird because that's the one I recognized for my first playthrough.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but we did have some remixes on there. I guess they were a bit wild and out there, but you could access some versions of the Japanese soundtrack.
That's true. That said, one localization choice I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, I'm fully agreement because, like I said, even my copy that I got from a garage sale was the complete long jewel case that came with the manual for Sonic CD. And of course, I had the American version, and I open this up and go to read the little, it starts off with how to hook everything up. And then it has a little blurb about the story of the game, which I think they had put in other manuals. And so they describe the little planet and how it appears over the magical lake and, only at a special time. And then mentions that following Sonic around is a little pink hedgehog. And this manual is trying to tell me her name is Princess Sally. And this is only in the American manual. It's not in the European one, which uses the same story text. And let me tell you, I know I got the game sometime after release, but even as a little kid, I knew who Amy Rose was, and I knew who Sally Acorn was. And
it wasn't like she wasn't in the comics or anything.
No.
Maybe in the cartoons, but...
I don't know what rogue element at Sega of America thought they could get away with this, but...
Apparently they didn't, because the version I had, that was fixed.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah, by the time it came out on PC in America, like they They did not, have that anymore.
Well, I mean,
gaslighting attempt failed, so they were just like, okay, fine.
I can't even blame this on like the most ludicrous conspiracy theory is there was some weird like Archie Comics reading Sonali shipper in Sega of America, because Archie Comics had done an adaptation of Sonic CD at this point, and Amy and Sally are two completely different characters. So, I was 8 or 9 years old, and they couldn't pull the wool over my eyes. So I don't know what they were thinking.
But they did like rewrite. This is their own version of the story, so Sonic isn't quite like trying to get away from Sally the same way he was Amy Rose. It's almost implied like that they've got more of a relationship like you would have in I Am. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's very it was just a step beyond like they do this in the other games where almost had a separate little story blurb that doesn't line up at all with what the Japanese story is. But this was literally trying to convince us that Princess Sally is a pink hedgehog in this game. Like, they didn't even change that description. And it's but no, this is the debut of Amy Rose, aka Rosie the Rascal.
Rosie the Rascal.
Which the Japanese manual points out is her nom de plume. And also I think this is the first reference we get to where she also likes her fortune telling cards and, likes a bit of fun little magic stuff. I don't think we get her hammer isn't mentioned until Sonic the Fighters, but that was always my little headcanon when I learned about that little bit about Amy Rose, is that her hammer is just part of the little magic she likes to play with. It's cool. She pulls it out of the magic hammer space.
Amy's just like the magical girl kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that. Just a little bit.
Yeah, Amy's a real cool character, but pretty much her personality, more or less at this point, was Sonic's admirer. But they wanted to play it. They wanted to make sure that you understood that Sonic was like, girls, no thanks. But he was Sonic is a bit too cool. He's cool enough to have admirers that chase after him, but he's too cool to have a girlfriend.
He's running away from commitment.
Yeah. It's the 90s, baby. I can't be tied down.
I gotta eat all these chili dogs.
It was one true love. It is interesting seeing, how Amy is depicted here initially, and that, it would be another 6 years or so before she would really start to come into her own compared to this initial kind of background character phase.
Yeah, because in between this and I guess, like we said, Sonic the Fighters introduces some more character. She shows up in like some spin-offs. What is it? Sonic Drift. She's playable, but God, that's kind of it. She doesn't really show up that much until Sonic Adventure is her big like I have a character arc now moment.
Yeah, like she's around in the spin-offs. You see her in like Sonic Game World, Sonic R, stuff like that, but she doesn't really get her time in the spotlight until they give her that campaign adventure, and ever since then they've never looked back.
Although, to be fair, like the comics were doing all the heavy lifting for Amy's characterization for a while.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I'll interject and say specifically Sonic the comic, because I remember Amy in the Archie comics, and she is a nothing background character for probably more than a decade. Like, again, does not start developing into her own character until Sonic Adventure like forced all this media to adapt that version of her.
I'm sure we're going to get to it, but Archie did feel almost like they were obligated to have to bring her in. It's like, right, here she is.
100%.
Bye, Amy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they even, it makes me wonder some details about that where they were like doing loose adaptations of stories, because if I remember correctly, in the Archie adaptation, not only does Amy get kidnapped, but so does Tails. And so very much if they just wrote Amy out completely of that story, there would be no change, because you still have the crux of, we got to go save Tails.
Yeah, they got to put a character in there that people care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think there's even some weird, and again, I'm spoiling a future discussion. There's some weird fourth wall breaking where, in order to to find Amy's location to kidnap her, Dr. Robotnik steals a bag of fan mail intended for Archie Comics' offices. and steals Amy Rose's letter to Sonic. So don't ask me how that makes any sense.
It's the time stones, man.
Well, that was during the silly times, which were a bit more fun.
It kind of was, yeah.
Yeah.
The silly times, but that is one of the first issues that was drawn or penciled entirely by Patrick Spaziente, and so the art at least looks fantastic.
And then he would rarely ever return, at least outside of the covers.
Yeah.
The covers in the upcoming Mecha Madness, but getting on a comics tangent here. Save that for later.
Yeah. A few things we're going to have to save for later in this discussion.
Yeah.
I know.
Good thing we got a game to talk about.
Well, the other debut of a character, if you didn't see him plastered on the super cool cover artwork, is Metal Sonic.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess, I probably should have looked at these release dates. This came released after Sonic 2. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So we had seen some Sonic robots before with the Mecha Sonic, Silver Sonic in both versions of Sonic 2. But I mean, this is the first proper, Sonic duplicate robot meant to outdo him in every way. And Metal Sonic.
We have talked about Metal Sonic before,
yes,
in the OVA discussion, but it bears repeating. This boy cool.
Metal Sonic
so
is cool as hell. Oh man, I love Metal Sonic. He's just so neat, and it is, like you said, we talked about the OVA, but the entirety of Metal Sonic's coolness in the OVA is from the few times we see him in this game, and especially the ending credits animation is, again, just gets the transposes what you see of Metal Sonic in the game into like a full realization of, he has that jet engine that keeps up with Sonic, and he's just, oh man, he's going to get you. Watch out.
It is actually, for such a cool character as he is, and as iconic as the battle, I say, with inverted commas, with him in Stardust Speedway and Sonic CD is, he doesn't actually do that much. From his appearance on the cover, you'd think he was like recurring as much as, say, Knuckles. But he's there, he shows up in Collision Chaos, takes Amy, disappears for ages, and then comes back at the end of Stardust Speedway, and you have a race. So you'd think, maybe they did a bit more. Maybe you'd actually get to fight him directly, but no. But it doesn't matter because he's cool.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah.
I know.
The closest you get is the holograms throughout different stages where he's like...
Oh, that's true.
That's true, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I couldn't, I played through the game and I seeked all those out and made sure to stare at them every time to think, what is the purpose of these? Is this connected to the robot generators, or is this some kind of is this supposed to be some a discouraging propaganda for these little animals that, this guy's gonna come get you, Metal Sonic, he's stomping on this little squirrel.
I mean, when you break it, they come out, all the animals start showing up, right?
Yeah.
Is that how it goes?
I think so.
But you get rid of the terror of Metal Sonic, and they're like, finally, we're free.
Yeah.
And there's some people who are really into getting stepped on by Metal Sonic, but we're not going to have that discussion here.
Yeah, maybe it is some kind of hard light technology. Because I even noticed in, Tidal Tempest, that one is underwater. And he is just swinging his arms around at some non-anthro fish. And as soon as you break it, they all swim away. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess this really is just, Dr. Robotnik is very much just oh yes, even the little fishies.
Maybe it's like a Clockwork Orange kind of thing where all the animals are just strapped and forced to watch this. And Sonic frees them from their terror.
Oh man. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if there was some unused, maybe they're trying to fool these poor animals into thinking it's the real Sonic come to get them. But no, that's just headcanon expansion there.
I don't know, Jeremy. We have established that it's a robot that looks exactly like Sonic.
Exactly. He even knows his favorite
completely.
Clothes. Oh, goodness.
Sonic, why are you stomping on that squirrel?
But yes, Metal Sonic, very cool. It takes me by surprise every time because it's in all the art. He has glowing red eyes, but they are gray in the game. And I keep thinking every time, like, oh, they should fix that. But it was obviously, maybe just a stylistic choice for the game. But yeah, every Metal Sonic after this would have those iconic glowing red eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was looking at the art, the Can I Kick It Sonic DJ.
Yes.
He's got the grey eyes there, and I thought that was like, oh, is that meant to imply that he shut his eyes, that they're grey, that the lights went off, or I don't know.
Or even the little front-facing sprite in the Stardust Speedway race where he turns and mugs at the camera just like Sonic. He does a little finger wag.
He really is Sonic.
Yeah, it is interesting because I think now Metal Sonic they focus less on copying Sonic's personality, but he does have those flourishes in Sonic CD where, yeah, he's doing the little like, I'm Sonic, here I am.
Yeah, that's almost like an indication of his future personality, actually, when you think about it. Because he thinks he's the real Sonic in a weird sort of way. Oh, man.
I do, before we move on, I do love the little detail in the Japanese manual that has a little, a little introduction for Amy and Metal Sonic. And Metal Sonic, they give like this fictional...
like all the tech specs?
Yeah, all the tech specs. This is where we get the first mention of Dr. Eggman's custom Lips AI Eggman custom chip, which he has 3 units installed in the head area. And it just goes on. And I love that, like, I see little Dr. Eggman with his goggles on, and he's got the big magnification and his tiny soldering iron, and he's putting together these custom chips thinking, oh, I'm going to get that Sonic with this one.
I'm glad even the Japanese canon was playing with like weird pseudoscience.
It's great
when it comes to robotics inventions.
Dr. Robotnik, what are you going to call your new main CPU custom chip? I'll call it Lips.
125.2 kilograms dry.
Oh, yeah.
I love this 250cc 4-valve Orgon fusion engine. Dang, that's...
Oh my goodness.
I know, I love that. Even little, it's got the torque and
how does
power.
He drive in Mario Kart? He's out of control.
I just love it. Cute little details like that. It's just fun.
I also like that in the manual it says he's the ultimate robot. It has the same level of ability as Sonic and can go even faster than Sonic at a moment's notice. It's almost like Robotnik was writing the manual himself, just like, this is faster. He could go faster.
My original Sonic can go faster than Sonic.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Do not steal.
My OC Lips.
And then he teleports behind Sonic and says, nothing personnel, kid. Because he's literally cold steel.
I can be your Angle or your Devil.
Oh, good. Yep. I love that. Yeah, that is. I do. That simultaneously gives like a great character glimpse into Eggman to where, somebody on the outside would be like, oh, you just made a robot to copy Sonic. And, in his mind, he's like, no, this one's better than the real Sonic. You'll see.
He faster, have energy shield. Boom.
We spent a lot of time talking about these characters, but we haven't actually got into like the development of the game itself and like where it came from. I mean, it's good to get the cool stuff out of the way, but let's get to the boring stuff now.
I mean, it's a weird case for this one because basically my understanding is that Sonic 1 comes out, it's a huge hit. A sequel, they're gonna do a sequel, obviously. Like that was never a question. But at the time, Yuji Naka was not super happy with the way things were being run at Sega Japan. And he's just like, you know what? I'm going to take a team of folks from Sonic Team. I'm going to move to America and we're going to develop Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 over there with STI. And meanwhile, Naoto Oshima, he stays behind in Japan and they're like, well, we need a Sonic game for CD. You're director now. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think they were going to be like, should we do another like special edition? Because they were doing a lot of those on the Mega CD, just taking the original version and upgrading them with fancier music and stuff. But they just decided, let's make a whole new game. And now Toshima's like, well, Naka-san's the guy who knows how to make this. I'll just use his code and make something fun. And that's more or less it.
Pretty much. Like the whole thing is built on Sonic 1 as a base.
And apparently they didn't have nearly as much crunch as, like, this is one case where, there wasn't as much crunch, because they had a lot. He's quoted saying, like, we had a lot of time to work on this, unlike them working on Sonic 2. So they got to do lots of really strange stuff. And if you've ever seen, like, the concept art that Naoto Oshima did for, like, the original Sonic, where were these really weird, strange, fantastical, dreamlike environments, you sort of get a vibe of that here.
Yeah.
Like, not that he was the main art director, there was someone else working on that, but it definitely feels like this is the weird, artsy Sonic game. Not necessarily the most functional Sonic game, but definitely weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, it is funny to think of the famous Sonic 1 beta that has the UFOs in the background, and then to come to this one where that's the entire special stage, is these weird UFOs floating around in these very psychedelic arenas.
Yeah, you gotta chase after the UFOs. You have to be the UFO catcher.
Ha ha!
Oh yeah, that is one thing. Like, I always assumed the special stages were kind of a diegetic, like even in the Bible described, like, if they're zones of confusion, or the Chaos Emeralds create these bent time and space to that they reside in, and then this one is just like, it's just kind of weird, huh?
Yeah, they've got different backgrounds every time, but they're all really cool. I love the look at these strange worlds that you get a glimpse of.
I love the time attack selection has, like, it kind of themes them out, and it's like, oh yeah, that is this background. You can really appreciate them when you're not trying to you're not counting down and trying not to fall into that god-awful water that eats my seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, you can actually, you can really appreciate the art direction when you're not suffering eternally. The special stages. Thank goodness for the remake version with the ability to be able to exit out when you've just about to run out of time and retry it. Because I wouldn't have got all the time stones on my recent playthrough without that.
That, or the, save states if you're maybe loaded that original version to something else.
This is because these are strange. This is like early Sonic 3D, but it's like Super Mario Kart SNES style.
The Mode 7 kind
Mode
of thing.
7, that's the fella. Yeah, that's sort of like strange 2D, 3D.
I think I may have even saw where the original concept may have been a Mode 7, like, multi-layers of Sonic 1 style special stages.
Oh my goodness.
And once they saw, like, Mario Kart came out, they were like, well, let's do something different, using the same technique, but this weird pseudo 3D. Let me tell you, if you're using a D-pad, thumb killing special stages, because ouch, those 8 directions or whatever are kind of hard to do. I think the remakes, like you said, it's not true analog control, but you can use the analog sticks, because maybe my old man hands are just ready to turn to dust, but literally had to, like, take a walk and shake my joints out after finishing those special stages.
They are a bit of a nightmare. They are
a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to get your daily curses out, that's going to be it.
Definitely some of that. But yeah, to all that to go into how this has a very, like you said, coming off of Sonic 1, which is, there's a little bit of verticality. Like, I think we would see the definite, like, speed, what would you call them? Speed levels, like the high route, the medium route, the low route. And there's some of that in Sonic CD, but there's a lot of vertical exploration with, still has places to go, like speedy. Like, I think it's built around that, especially with the time travel system. But yeah, there is a lot of, like, going up and down and looking for different items and routes and secrets and stuff like that.
It's almost weird to have a 10-minute time limit on a level where you're supposed to, like, by design, look around and try and find ways to try and find, like, all the things that you need to get the proper ending.
Yeah, it is sort of interesting. Like, that was a very intentional choice on the development team's part. It's interesting to see kind of that divergent perspective on how to progress that formula. Like, Sonic 2 was very much built on, levels that were built around building and maintaining that speed that, the first one was so heavily marketed around. While CD was this kind of slower paced, more explorational kind of format.
You could say that Sonic CD is like the alternate future, where they decided to go in that other direction that Sonic 1 was going in, where it was a lot more about methodical exploring and getting around the stages and playing around with the stages. Whereas, yeah, like you said, Sonic 2 is more streamlined.
Yeah, it honestly reminds me a lot of the Master System games.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Even down to the music, if you think of one of the tracks.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's interesting to hear you guys talk about like exploring the stages so much, and I can admit maybe I just played the game wrong in a sense, but
did you just play it all the way through? Did you just?
I just kind of went right through. For me, most of the stages ended within like 1.5 to 2 minutes.
You played it like a Sonic game. Who'd have thought?
But like I was also gonna say, like, again, maybe I played it wrong, but it was interesting that like it seemed like some levels also kind of forced you to like go backwards in the level. You know, for like a side-scrolling platformer, you're so used to going left to right, and for me, it seemed like I would progress in some levels if I went right to left to like I don't know. It just seemed like some of the pathways were built that way.
Yeah, Metallic Madness for sure. That's got like elements of Master System scrap brain in it. Amazing and stuff.
There is a specific point in Metallic Madness Act 2 where it, no matter what section you get to, it's like, nope, now you got to turn around and go back. And there's even parts where it's like, okay, well, I dropped down one level, let me keep going right. And it's still like, nope, go back. And it's that last section. I think I've shared with y'all privately that I have severe brainworms when it comes to revisiting some of these games, where we were just like, yeah, let's just go do a casual playthrough and revisit it. And I decided to boot up my PlayStation 3 copy and get all the trophies. So I was looking up speedrun strats to get that time attack mode down. And that is one of those to where every run I looked up was at the end of Metallic Madness. It's like, nope, you have to stop and go through the little shrinky section. There's no way to skip it without a glitch. Yeah. And I there is definitely your mileage may vary whether you like that, especially in a Sonic game. I think it works for the most part in this one, where it's just a different way. I think a lot of people get stuck on the marketing for the 2D Sonic games, where they were like, yes, they are very fast, but they were very much about learning these level layouts so you could go through them super fast. But also, like, the first 2 or 3 times through it, you're going to be like, okay, there's a trap here, blah, blah, blah. It is about some puzzle platforming in addition to going fast. Yeah. And there's just a more focus on some of the exploration here. But then I do think the game facilitates that by having the multiple endings and even multiple ways to get the true good ending. I kind of love that about this game.
Yeah, but at the same time, while it does have this heavier emphasis on exploration, I feel like the level design actually does suffer a bit as a result between that and the main gimmick of the game, which is the time travel function. As a result,
we haven't got to that yet.
Yeah, but as a result of that, I feel like kind of the platform placement and some of the layout overall is a bit more kind of all over the place. And you look at some of the past and future sections where some of the rings are literally impossible to get because they're just in the middle of a wall because of time travel or whatever. I don't know. It's a weird choice, I think.
For all the positive things I did just say, I will immediately come out and say that even in the 2011 remake, which is wonderful, I did time travel in Stardust Speedway and immediately die because I ended up in a wall. And without an ounce of regret or hesitation, I would cut Wacky Workbench out of this game completely.
Oh, yeah, without question.
Oh, gosh, yes. Oh.
I enjoy bouncing, but not that much.
I hate that.
It sucks. It's the easiest way, again, like I was saying, I was looking up speedruns, and the easiest way to do it is to literally go as slow as possible and to travel on the floating platforms on the bottom of the stage, and that ain't fun. That's not fun. I get what they were going for, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. When you're talking about like the weird structure of these levels, you compare this to the other sequel, so to speak, Sonic 2. and you'll see like very precise locations for springs and like really thought out like all of the structure, all the levels. And you get to like collision chaos, and there's like this whole area of like red springs laid out across the landscape.
Oh my god!
Red springs, bumpers, like pinball flippers. It just feels a lot of times like there is not a lot of rhyme or reason to a lot of the layout placement.
Yeah.
Yeah, but say what you will, it's not false advertising in the title. That is collision chaos.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of fun, like really pretty gimmicks in Collision Chaos. Like directly above those red springs is a cool like 3D rotating big tube with platforms on it. But you're bouncing around so much you can hardly see it.
So we mentioned earlier that like the way that I played it was the way Chris said it was like I played it like a Sonic game. I was telling Luke before we started the show. So I recently played through Sonic CD all the way for the first time in preparation for this show, for this episode, and I played the Christian Whitehead version.
As well, you should.
Yes, and honestly, I like I said to him, I want to keep things positive on this podcast, but I did not walk away from this game with the same kind of fuzzy Sonic feeling that I walk away from other games with. And like some of the notes, like there's things that we've already said, like the level designs and layouts in general just seem not as concretely thought through, and some of them can be so frustrating. Like Jeremy said, wacky workbench. Can we just get rid of that? It's an eyesore.
It's bad.
The background arts for a lot of the levels is like so busy, so much, like so many small patterns that just repeat over and over and over, and it, like it's a good thing I can focus on Sonic, because otherwise it'd be like the ultimate eyesore. And the final level, Metallic Madness 3, where it has the bottomless pit. Man, that is
yeah.
I saw you talking about that, and it was right before I had gotten to that, and I totally understood. I spent maybe 20 minutes trying to figure out the best way to cheese it, and it is there, but running up to that and not being ready for it, that is just a really cheap area to put in right before your final boss and a half.
It's weird because there aren't as many bottomless pits in this game. In fact, there's barely any.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, up to that point, and then they're just like, hey, guess what? Fuck you.
Basically.
That is interesting to bring up, because I think this will go into the bosses we can talk about next. But I didn't think about that. That may have been a case of, with the power of the Mega CD, that they had more layers and technology to work with putting detail into these levels, but that maybe it was a case of you could, but should you have? And yeah, I could see how some of those could be busy, especially God, the one that pops to my mind is Stardust Speedway The Past, which you have lots of hanging vines, and also the gimmick where you flip the little placards, and that changes the places you can step on certain platforms.
Oh yeah,
I could see that getting lost in the background, especially if you were coming into this like fresh or haven't played it in since it came out. I see how that could drastically alter someone's opinion on that.
Actually, I forgot to mention my history with Sonic CD, so I'll just real quick. Like Luke, never had a Sega system growing up. The first real exposure I had to Sonic CD was through the Mega Collection, where I watched that opening cutscene like a bazillion times because it just looks so amazing. Yeah. First time I really got to play Sonic CD was through the Gems Collection years later, and I only played a couple levels because I saw Sonic the Fighters and I wanted to play that more. Dumb brain. So recently was the first time that I really sunk my teeth into the game. So all that to say, going into time travel, it's a back and forth for me, because with the way that I played the game, where, like I said, I beat most levels within like 1.5 to 2 minutes. I like the fact that in that sense, if you play that way, the levels are shorter, but if you like bounce between present, past, and future, you kind of have like new ways to traverse the level. And like, there's just different ways of playing the level, and there's a lot of variety. But at the same time, it also makes me wonder, like, what's really the point of the time travel mechanic?
Yeah, this is interesting because I'm immediately having flashbacks to, I think, something I said during our discussion of the adventure games is the way my brain works is I have fully come to terms that the way I think about these older Sonic games, I can never divorce that feeling of, oh, well, I know these games front to backwards, even the ones like Sonic CD that I, was not like super into until like later versions. And it is hard for me to divorce that, call it nostalgia, call it what you will, to see this an outside perspective of, like you said, Jake, somebody who had not gone through like the whole game until recently. And yeah, I can definitely see the game itself does a poor job of explaining what the point of the time travel is. Like, I think it's touched upon in the manuals. The time travel has nothing to do with getting the time stones because you just get 50 rings and make it to the end, get to the special stage.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, there are actually two ways to get the true ending. You either collect the time stones, or if you travel back to the past in the first two acts and destroy the robot generator and the Metal Sonic hologram, and do that in all of the acts, by the time you make it to Metallic Madness, you achieve the true ending because you have undone all of Robotnik's plan to transform the little planet.
Jeremy, you're technically right, but I hate to break this to you. You don't have to break the Metal Sonic hologram.
Okay, well, you do to get the trophy in the PS3 version, and I did because, like I said, I'm a sick man who has nothing better to do in his life. So I did.
Oh, man.
You do only have to break the robot generators, but it's like...
I just imagine Jeremy's face just goes completely red, just like, well,
That's probably what happened.
I worked hard for this, don't take it from me.
It's on my PSN profile forever now.
Yeah.
Oh.
I did this.
All that to say that from a story perspective, I love that. I think that's amazing. That is a cool gimmick that, in fiction, Sonic, said to hell with the time stones, I'll just do it the hard way, and, undoes all of Eggman's work. But, like I said, I'm sure it touches on it in the manuals. I could bring that up. But yeah, just playing through the game, it does not explain that is something you can do. And also makes it weird to, like, you can visit the bad future versions, like, before destroying the robot generator, but there's no gameplay reason to do it. It's just purely for aesthetics.
Yeah.
And even then, you still see the either the bad or the good future in Act 3. And so, I can see where you're coming from, that it's kind of like, yeah, here's some cool concepts, but also don't seem to be entirely fleshed out.
Yeah.
I think it's a case of, like, it's weird. There's a lot of artistic choice over function in this, and I think what they've decided is, like, it's a weird environmental storytelling. Like, if you go to the future and see how terrible it is, you'll be like, oh no, better go back and fix it. Like, I think that's maybe it, but yeah. It's a lot of effort for something that's ultimately not really necessary, but I do like it.
Yeah.
I would argue that, like, it's reached a point where anytime I play the game, anytime I touch a future sign is basically a hindrance in my mind, because it's like, okay, I need to either find a past sign or find a way to get rid of the future thing so I don't go to the future because I'm busy trying to go back to the past and hit the robot generator or whatever.
Maybe it's a giant metaphor for nostalgia.
That's very relatable, because we all, like, whenever we all get a glimpse of the future, we're like, no, take me back. That's what we do in this podcast.
Oh, man.
This game is deeper than I realized.
They're playing the long game.
It is just my own headcanon running wild, but I do love the design, and definitely goes to your aesthetics over function point. I do love that the good future and the bad future are so obviously, like, here is the evil Eggman bad future where he has just destroyed everything organic. But then the good future, in most of the levels, it also is not like completely devoid of technology.
No.
Like the past is always like, you would say like this prehistoric, like, before civilization in most areas. But the good future is not devoid of technology. It, a funny way is it's like that meme where it's like says, oh, the future if X didn't happen, and it's like a technological utopia. It looks like that one Doctor Who episode where everything's bright and chrome, but like
Everything is chrome in the future.
but I do like that design that like they weren't necessarily like, well, a good future would be no technology at all. It's like, no, it's
is interesting for Sonic, actually, when you considering how like environmentalist it is.
Yeah, maybe they were trying to get across a responsible, in harmony of development of this technological future, and not like the Eggman who is very much like a has no concern for the environment or the local flora or fauna. Because the little planet itself is almost like this little, protected, pristine. It's literally a tiny planet, like that just shows up every once in a while.
It's funny because I was playing like that in front of Jackie, and when we got to the good future on like Zone 3, I guess as it's called in here, because everything has to be weird. Yeah. Palm Tree Panic, she's like, well, the palm trees are still mechanical. I'm like, yeah, they are. Let's go. Why did they feel the need to replace the trees? Is it like The Simpsons with in memory of a real tree? Because that's not great. In fact, there are lots of cities here. Who's living there? Who lives on the little planet?
Yeah, I mean,
stuff to think about.
We do see little animals. There are also lots of big flowers that dance around. Maybe they grow up into flowers that can talk. Who knows?
Yeah, the moment you leave, their roots get out of the ground and they start walking off, put on a hat and carry a suitcase.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Time to go to work.
I do want to say, Jeremy, I thank you for explaining. Because I did read about it or see something about it recently, but thank you for explaining like the fact of like going to the past to destroy the generators. Because I forgot that's how you actually do that. You go to the past to do that. So it does. Before people type in the comments like Jake doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, well, it's one of those things that there is something to be said. At the time this game came out, they came with manuals that explain some of these concepts, but there is also, you have to have that conversation that there is a balance between, a modern game that has an hour-long tutorial with lots of text boxes that explain everything every button does, which is is necessary for some modern games, and also games that just fail to explain like their core tenets. Which like we've already said, Sonic was about. It's puzzle platforming, it's going fast, and although I like a lot of what the levels do in Sonic CD, it is hard to come off of Sonic 1 or especially Sonic 2, like we said, which is such a refinement of that go quick through these environments and find different routes, and is like very different. So I think that's a perfect example of, if you haven't played this game 100 times or just dropping into it, then yes, it can be a confusing one.
But it kind of makes sense for the one that isn't the main. Like, even though we consider it one of the original trilogies, so to speak, it's not even like a main Sonic title, because it's released for the side console, essentially. Even though they wanted the Mega CD to do well, it was kind of the weird one, and this is the weird Sonic game, so in a way it kind of fits that they can be more experimental with it.
It's weird. There is an alternate future out there where Christian Whitehead was set to make a more accessible remake of Knuckles Chaotix instead of Sonic CD, because that's about the same level of obscurity Sonic CD was for a long time, until we got some alternate versions.
I don't know if that's a good future or a bad future.
I've played some of Chaotix. It's not that bad, but I ain't going to bat for it exactly.
I'm looking forward to the Chaotix episode, but it is funny that time travel is a weird thing that they've worked in here, and they went all in with it.
Yeah.
But to think it was something that nearly happened with Sonic 2. That was the original, like we found out not too long ago, at least a few years ago at the very least, that Sonic 2 was originally going to have a time travel concept to it.
Yeah, I think this was a much more kind of. I think the Sonic 2 time travel concept was more just in a story concept and not like as deep as Sonic CD goes with it. But it's still interesting to see kind of that parallel development of ideas, you know. And to their credit, they at least do give you incentive to do a little bit of time travel, like even beyond just getting the good ending. Going back in time and destroying the robot generators does remove all of the enemies from the zones. So it's like you have incentive to go back and go get rid of that so that you have an easier time getting through the rest of the level.
Okay.
I was actually going to springboard off of this technical talk to talk about the bosses, which are also really fun to look at, but kind of crappy. I mean, not crappy in like they're just very simple.
They're pretty easy.
I give them credit. A lot of them are like fairly unconventional compared to most Sonic bosses, just in the way that you battle them or stuff like that. Like, the one that sticks out in my mind as a really kind of different thing, even beyond just the race fight of Metal Sonic, is the egg conveyor in Quartz Quadrant. Like that's
my favorite. I had
that's a really interesting concept for a boss.
Yeah,
using Sonic speed to beat him essentially. Just like burning away the platform he's on with friction.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's very cool.
So, I really actually I enjoyed the creativity behind the different ways that you beat Robotnik in this game. Which is it's funny to say that after Jeremy said like they're kind of crappy, but but again, like, you know, like that just shows the different perspectives that we have on this podcast and how we consume the media in different ways. Like I said, Quartz Quadrant 3, that boss fight is my favorite as far as like the creative way of defeating Robotnik, where you just run and you dodge those like spike bombs and it grinds away at his platform. And the second level, Collision Chaos, not a fan of that boss fight with like the just.
If you're really good as pinball, you're gonna have a great time.
I saw someone do it in like less than 15 seconds, and I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah,
I actually got really lucky my playthrough just now. I was like, oh, I'm going to spend ages on this, and then I just shot right up and hit him. I was like, well, done.
That's how
but like,
luck.
Yeah, but like even when you finally get past all the pinball nonsense and like actually get up to him, I like that. Like all you have to do is bump into him 3 times, and I don't know. I appreciate like the different ways of fighting Robotnik in this game. And then also it's interesting that it seems like for the most part they went for like you just hit him 3 times each time and then that's it.
Yeah, no 8 times this time. No, just like regular. No, it's not just a variation of the Eggomatic with something at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you hit him 8 times. It's more or less once you get through his defense, then he's dead.
I meant to ask that at the beginning because for some reason I thought if you managed to create a good future, either in both acts or the time stone, did that lower the amount of hits you had to get on Eggman? But no, it sounds like that it is just a lower amount of hits.
No.
Yeah, it's 3 every time.
Okay.
It's funny to me because when I first saw like screenshots in STC of the first boss, I was like, oh, here's another Eggman mecha kinda. That's kinda cool. I wonder what kind of kinetic battle that's gonna be. Now you just dodge the springs and you hit him a couple times and he's gone. It's like, well, it requires some thinking there. You've got to like be precise. I really like that. Like the Tidal Tempest boss, where he's got like a shield of air bubbles around him.
Oh yeah,
and you use that to keep yourself alive.
Yeah, that's I like that one a lot. I would say cool. The first one isn't super clever, if only because there's an invincibility power up you can get along the way to reach him, and you can like
that's fair,
you can rush. Yeah, you can rush past him and just take him out before you even run out of invincibility.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm coming around looking at it from that perspective of these are more about getting through Eggman's gimmicks than it is about the precision dodging and getting those 6 to 8 hits in.
But it is a bit of a bummer that the last one is so easy.
Yeah, I was expecting something more.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's even why they throw in the mini boss with the little lightning bugs.
Oh,
maybe.
gosh, those lightning bugs suck.
It's a weird boss where it gets easier the longer it goes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool because he's like running out of defenses and he starts like chucking these like things at you, and in the end he's just like pogo stick, boing boing.
Yeah, he does the Bowser's Mario World like desperate final attack.
Yeah.
Pogo stick. Oh yeah, I do like that little mini lightning bug boss gets fully realized in Sonic Mania, where you defeat the 3 little ones and then the big one comes out. Oh yeah, all right, I'm coming around on these Eggman bosses.
You just have to be creative. You have to know it's all creative.
Yeah.
It might not be the best game, but it's a fun experience.
It's a game that has a lot of really interesting ideas, even if they don't all work.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I do say that I love not only the promo artwork for the Dr. Robotnik, but also his in-game sprites, which are for the most part just look like, Sonic 1 and 2, but some like give him details, like you can see his big old teeth, especially in the promo artwork, and there's some views in the game where he just looks, just even more menacing, like through the power of the CD.
Yeah, he does have a little bit more like definition to him.
Mm-hmm. I just like that.
The spooky one. I kind of like.
Yeah,
and he looks somewhat menacing in the bad ending, even if he's escaping with a time stone.
Yeah, I always liked that as a kid because I don't think I got the good ending in the original version. I like that the bad ending is still okay because Sonic just hucks a rock at him and keeps him from getting away with the time stones.
I actually like, this is such a small thing, but like as a concept, I love the idea of him spin dashing so that he gets enough velocity to throw that rock at him. And I kind of wish that like somehow that could be a mechanic in a later game.
Yeah, they really use Sonic speed very well in these animations. Yeah. It's such a well realized application of those skills.
They do give us the Eggman's face shaped cloud to as kind of a cartoony bit that like, oh, we got him, and not like a Sonic threw that rock like straight through his skull.
And then Eggman's face appears up in the sky at the end.
Yeah.
Bad ending, or was it?
Sonic took a life. Is that a good ending or a bad ending? I'll let you decide.
Oh,
it's the Batman conundrum.
It always comes
to that.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
There was going to be a level that I don't know if got past the point of having like some sprites made. There was a level that is only known as R2.
Yeah.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, R2 was basically going to be a level we don't know a lot about. We just know that there's like, we can see a potential boss here, version of Robotnik here, and one of the Badniks. But we did get to see a glimpse of it in the ending animation, in the credits scene. We see Sonic running across this dilapidated space, and this antlion Badnik comes out.
Yeah.
So this idea must have been sent to Toei Animation like early on in the process.
Yeah, like it always struck me that that enemy showed up in the ending, but there was never anything like that in the game itself, and this helps explain that.
Yeah, I guess I'd never considered that, like, that's an awesome little sequence, but yeah, that's obviously a area that's not in the game, and yeah, an enemy that is not in the game. Huh. I did not know that.
It's the stuff we nearly got. It is, this sort of like leans into the fact that this was like based on Sonic 1 more than anything else, because it still has the Sonic 1 sprite more or less. Mm-hmm. And some of the levels do feel like updated versions of Sonic 1 levels, like Palm Tree Panic, Green Hill, Tidal Tempest's Labyrinth, and so forth.
And my one personal nitpick is I do not like the jump sound effect sound in this one either. It sounds
That's true.
Yeah, I'm not as much of a fan of it, but I also, my other nitpick is that the original version, spin dash animation, not as good.
No, it's not even a spin dash.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about it.
Yeah, of course you forgot about it because they fixed that in the remake.
It's one of the first things I remember looking up mods for the original version, which there are some fan mods, and that was one of like the first things I saw the history of, was people like, please put the real spin dash in here. This one looks bad. And
it is like Spin Dash if it was developed by someone else who had the idea but didn't know quite how to implement it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, however, the super peel out is still very cool.
Yes.
Yes.
It's cool.
I
I,
love
just
it.
don't
So
know
cool.
what function it serves a lot of the time.
I believe it's actually a little bit faster than charging up the spin dash.
It is, yeah.
I see. It's just for it's if you want to run and make yourself exposed to any obstacles that are coming up. But
It's great for if you're at the bottom of a hill and you want to try and like ramp, jump at the top of it to do like a super long jump. The peel out is the
Yeah.
go-to move. So it does have some mechanical purpose.
And I can give an example of how the super peel out helped me out a couple times. Like a couple times was if I was at the bottom of a ramp and I had to if I wanted to get somewhere faster. But admittedly, during the Metal Sonic battle, near the end I had a little bit of trouble with just some of the obstacles, and I had to kind of restart that a few times. And so whenever Robotnik would get close to me, I would either just try to do the thing where you push harder on right, even though it doesn't do anything.
It feels like it does.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's enough.
Yep. Or I would remember about the super peel out and do that, and I would get some distance between me and Robotnik. So it's definitely, it looks cool, and at least for my playthrough, it was very functional.
I do
fair.
I do like how it was the first before they would get to some of the animation flourishes in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It is the first okay, but what is the ultimate Sonic is going fast as possible, especially after Sonic 1, and it is man, his legs aren't even making a shape anymore. It's super cool. I love it. I like that it's an option that they drop into Mania and other fan mods. Sometimes the first thing is gotta put that super peel out in there.
It just looks cool.
Yeah.
I do feel like there's one feature we forgot to mention that not everyone knows about, but it is worth mentioning. If it's a function that Sonic can do, if you decide to stick around for 3 minutes, he just pieces out of the level and you get game over.
Oh yeah.
A full game over. You lose all your lives.
Yeah.
You have failed in your partnership with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic has no
failed,
time. He has no patience for people who are not, taking that initiative.
I remember talking about in the Sonic Bibles episode where we were saying, I like the idea that Sonic is, aware of the fact that he's being controlled by someone and judges you on sort of stuff, on your play style. And if you just decide to, leave the room for a few minutes, he's like, alright, this isn't happening. Well, bye.
That is something we kind of glossed over, is that I think some of the arcade games we talked about predate this, but this is the first true blue Sonic game that Sonic has a voice. He only has a tiny few lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
I think it's literally just yes when he gets a life, and then I'm out of here when he jumps off. I think that's it.
I think so. And
There might be one more that's hidden in the sound files, but I'm not sure.
I thought there might be.
All right, I'm out of here. Yes, yeah.
But if my if the sources I'm looking at are correct, it is Masato Nishimura who does the Sonic's voice in this game. He's a guy that works at Sega. Says he was the landscape designer on the Sonic CD.
He does sound, because Sonic sounds very high pitched here. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, it is for a single line. It's fine. It is someone. It has an accent to it because it's in English by a Japanese speaking person. But I wouldn't say it's inappropriate. It's just it's weird. It sounds like they were just hey, come in here and record this real quick. Maybe we'll use it, and they ended up putting it in there. Because looking at Amy Rose has 2 voice samples. She giggles and then shrieks when Metal Sonic gets her.
Yeah.
Which is apparently Lynn Harris, who has been in a bunch of video games, but started way back on. Apparently, she was Rebecca Chambers in the original Resident Evil.
He seems to have been bitten by a poisonous snake, but the size of the wound is abnormally large.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
wow.
Looks like she was also in Shinmu.
Yeah, I remember
Shenmue
she was
as well.
somebody in
That checks
Shenmue.
out.
Yeah, apparently she may have directed the original version, voice version of Resident Evil, which, everybody knows that one, that's for sure.
Yep.
No, don't open that door. I just wanna. It is interesting though that the having Sonic like say yes when you get an extra life, because it's weird not having the jingle there, and that kind of like brings me to the fact that there are some like the drowning music is not in this Sonic game, by the way. It is replaced by and I guess that's partly to do with the CD music.
I think it's entirely to do with the CD music. Is that they didn't want to have to like load up a new track every single time and have the music restart whenever the jingle finished.
So you just get this little bubbling sound effect, this which isn't quite as anxiety-inducing.
Yeah, not so much.
It's also, I found it unfortunately easier to miss because it doesn't just trigger that anxiety, and I was like, oh, I'm drowning. Whoops.
Oh my.
But at the same time, they did introduce jingles for a jingle for the speed shoes, like
invisibility.
The jingle for the invisibility always has a jingle.
That's true.
But this is the first time it had like speed shoes jingle instead of like speeding up the music, which again probably due to the CD situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
This preceded an adventure, so that became a recurring thing when the music was all like recorded ahead of time, I guess.
Like you even go back to like Generations, where they basically fake it, where they'll start a new track that is the music sped up, but it's still technically a separate music track.
Mm-hmm. So a few, at least one standard, I should say, of the Sonic franchise set here.
Yeah. It's funny we talk about like the Sonic jumping off the station, because there's a lot of like weird hidden stuff in this game.
Oh my god, I didn't know. I didn't know there was an instant death combination. What?
Oh wow!
I didn't know about that.
Either, actually.
Man, I feel like you could stumble across that. All you do is pause the game and press A, B, and C to kill Sonic.
He commits seppuku.
It does serve a function, to be fair. Like if you get stuck, which can happen in this kind of game.
Yes, yeah. I mentioned already I got stuck time traveling. I also got stuck. I was just going really fast, and I must have hit, that magic pixel and got stuck in some geometry and Stardust Speedway and was like, okay, guess I'm quitting. But no, I should have used my instant death technique.
Yeah, it's more or less when you find the sound test menu that's hidden behind the title screen, there are lots of little codes you can put in by selecting certain tracks, and they will lead you down some strange corridors. I mean, it starts off fair enough. You get this like a secret special stage, which is pretty cool. Except for you've got Robotnik's giant face in the background, glaring at you.
Terrifying.
Which is
It's really scary.
It's wonderful. He's got big old dead eyes too, like a doll's eyes.
Oh my goodness!
And then his eyes bleed.
I remembered specifically seeing the See You Next Game Judy Toyota version of Tails. Which is, man, it's adorable. What a good picture of Tails.
Yeah.
Oh, that is great. Nice to see Tails there in some. Well, actually, it's one of two appearances of Tails in the original game, I think. But this is like that sort of leads on to the weird little images they put in, and some of these are really nice, like that Tails one. And they start getting a bit strange. We talked about the fastest DJ MC Sonic,
with Rasta Botnik there, which they did reference making new like sprites for that in the soundtrack select for the remake.
Oh yeah, that is correct. Oh man,
it's very good.
I'm glad that these are credited, by the way, by the artists. These are various artists who are working on the.
That one in particular was Kazuyuki Hoshino, the character designer for Knuckles. Or actually Amy and Metal Sonic as well.
Oh, cool. The and the aforementioned Tails was Yasushi Yamaguchi, who created Tails.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's really cute.
I think we say this every time, but most of our info is the wonderfully cataloged and maintained Sonic Retro.
Thank you, Sonic Retro.
Yeah, the fastest DJ MC Sonic. Can I kick it? Come in, bad boys. That really does solidify that the Sonic being a product of the 90s was an international thing, because Sonic has wearing a gold ring around his neck, and he's got the microphone. Metal Sonic is doing a very like you know, of the time pose, arms crossed, and yeah, like we said, Robotnik is wearing a, looks like he just went to like a county fair and got a, you know, a very poorly made hat with the Jamaican flag colors in it.
And bracelets.
He's doing his best.
Instead of dreadlocks, he's got a dread stash.
He does. Yeah, I just noticed his mustache is very, very blown out.
Of course, we've also got, as you mentioned, the Fun is Infinite picture. It was made by Masato Nishimura, the voice of Sonic in this game.
That is a design of Sonic.
Oof.
Actually, I'm not sure it actually is Sonic. It's like some. How do we describe this picture? And it's like it's a tiled image of, it's tiles of the same image over and over. But what is it?
You know, I remember when I guess famous creepypasta Sonic.exe was getting popular a couple years ago. I was like, I don't know, that's kind of basic. It's just evil Sonic with the black eyes and the oh, he cries tears and oh, he's got scary teeth, when you've got the scariest looking version of Sonic that has ever been created by humanity right here. He's got... It looks like his head is detached from his body with a pencil thin neck and an old man like face, almost some kind of horrible mask, and he's kind of doing a Sonic, you know, wag his one finger pose, and then yes, Japanese text that translates to infinite fun with Sega Enterprises.
This is quite the image. This could have been in a copy pasta. This could have been in like a Ben Drown situation with like the fake Link statue. You know?
I believe there have been multiple.
Just a few years late, I mean, you know, just a few years later, we would get the Tails doll, which is the first time I remember seeing like, you know, fan written like Sonic creepy stories. But I mean, yeah, this was right here. This horrible Sonic. Speaking of which, the next one isn't much better, but at least I think it's funny.
Yeah.
the Sonic. I mean, I was about to say it's Batman. It's Sonic as Batman.
It's literally Batman. Like, I think it might even be imitating a specific picture of Batman. I haven't been able to source which one it's based on.
I see it. I mean, yeah, now that I'm looking at it again, his ears are Batman's cape and cowl, specifically how it was very long and like the animated Batman of the time.
It does look kind of like if an Image Comics Sonic comic came out. That wasn't the weird crossover we got in Archie.
Yeah.
That's what Sonic would look like.
Sonic, this is where my parents died.
Bummer.
I remember there was that test disc for the Sega CD where it would like show a bunch of different stuff. It had like the Sonic holding up the disc and then occasional clips of Batman Returns where it was all just like showing off what the Sega CD could do. So I don't know, maybe somebody had that on the brain and, you know, ended up making this.
Could have been a through line. And then we get a cute little illustration of Sonic that's just called Anime Sonic, I think.
Oh, it's our little palate cleanser.
Yes, thank goodness.
Those eyes are very big. Those pupils, they're grey here, but I'm almost like, wait, are those a little bit green, or am I just seeing them? Oh, no.
Well, they're not. Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, speaking of, hey, going all the way back, I noticed in some of those new Sonic Origins animations, some of the characters have the shading on their eyes as a little bit of brown, and I remember seeing that in a couple of like classic Sonic pictures. But no, this is like big shiny anime eyes, and they're gray instead of any color, because yeah, Sonic didn't have no green eyes yet. He's just sitting there.
Oh, look at that little guy.
He's taking a rest.
He's like, I've seen some horrors, I just need to chill for a second.
It is also accompanied by the message, "You are cool."
Yep.
Me?
So thanks for that. Yeah, heads up, Jake. You are cool.
Me? Oh.
There's even more stuff you dig into, like, there's some older material from, like, prototypes that have come out in the past. Like, I believe Palm Tree Panic was originally supposed to be called Salad Plain, or at least that's what it was named, like, at one point. And also, one of my favorite things is the signpost at the end. Special little message.
Okay.
I don't get it. It just says, "You say," with a big exclamation point. I don't know why. I don't understand. That's
a new one. I did not know about that.
You know what it is? It's, whenever I see it or go past it these days, I run past and I hear, "You say the price of my love is a price you're not willing to pay."
Apparently, it's a punt on Yusei, Y-U-U-S-E-I, the name of the event where this build was featured.
Oh, okay. Well,
so it's not predicting the future of Hamilton.
No. Well, if any game was going to do it.
I do love some of these unused sprites, particularly the one where it's an unused animation of Sonic being shocked by electricity and you see his little skeleton. I'm a big proponent of that should be in all media.
Yeah.
If a character gets shocked by something, you should see their skeleton in a split second. So
happened with Knuckles in S3 and K. So
yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Sorry, I'm just still, to this day, I'm still taken aback by the fact that Punchy Panic was nearly called Salad Plain. It's like that's a Super Mario World level name, right there.
Or Kirby.
That's why they changed it.
Oh, true. My goodness. And instead they went for alliteration instead of food things, I guess.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm bouncing all over the place. I did not realize the unused sprite of Amy is used in the remake. When she hugs Sonic and she has hearts in her eyes. I could not tell that's what that was. I thought the transparency had been messed up because you can kind of still see the whites of her eyes, but no, she has hearts in her eyes. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I did not realize. Yeah. Now that I know that's what that is, that's interesting.
Oh, you know what, Jake? You would have encountered Amy on Palm Tree Panic Zone 1, I suppose. Because you were playing it normally, and she only appears in the present.
Did I?
That's true, yeah.
Wait, did you?
I can't remember.
It's right before. It's right before the goal. She runs up to you and can hug you. You can also just speed right past her because she doesn't. She doesn't actually go past the goal marker.
Jake's a bit too cool for that. He's a cool hedgehog speeding by.
Yeah.
Gotta go fast.
Well, she does do it.
No time for girls.
She does do it again when you rescue her.
Yeah.
And,
Meanwhile, I so desperately wanted to avoid Amy, I ran past her before she was born.
don't think about it too hard.
Oh my gosh. It was mentioned, the DA Garden, but we didn't actually really talk about it. I don't really know much about it, so does somebody else want to mention it?
Oh yeah, it's the DA Garden. First of all, I don't know what DA stands for, but it's basically a different sound test. It's more of like a version, a way to just listen to the soundtrack by itself. But it is it has a illustration of the little planet, and you can see like all the little zones and like the different cityscapes sticking up out of it, and little character sprites float by. Like there's a Sonic, is it in the original version, Tails flying the tornado?
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah. There's a Tails flying the tornado, there's an Eggman and a Metal Sonic, and I think like different buttons like do different things, like you zoom in and out, and so it's basically like a media player visualization that
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and you can switch the timeline on the planets thing so that it's past, present, good future, bad future. Then there's also like a very basic visual mode you can unlock that is just like replay all the cutscenes and also a pencil test for the intro, which is neat.
Yes.
Yeah, all this is to say, there's all this weird stuff in the original release, but the original release is not the way you want to play this game these days.
No, this is one of the titles that was blessed with a wonderful revamp remake. In fact, I think this was the first.
Yeah, this was the first. Like,
this is Christian Whitehead's first attempt at doing one of these, and boy howdy is it a good one.
The remake is just so cool. Like, it is without question the way to play. I'm just glad that, when Christian Whitehead pitched this, that Sega actually, took him up on it. Because obviously that resulted in a very long and fruitful partnership that is arguably kind of coming to a head now with Sonic Origins. Admittedly, Whitehead's not working on it directly, but that opened the door to bring in other fans like Simon Tomley and, T. Lopez down the line. And it's just been really cool that you can, a lot of this like fan collaboration with a lot of these people can be traced back to this remake of Sonic CD.
we've said since the beginning, like part of why we wanted to do this show was to highlight like cool fan stuff. But I mean, it really does just warm my heart to see that relationship has been carried forward into its ultimate form almost. And it did. It started with this remake of Sonic CD.
I just think it's neat. It's nice to have like a streamlined version of it there, where you don't have to wait quite as long between time travel segments, and you have widescreen, and widescreen is really good for Sonic games, by the way, as much as I'm a fan of the classics. Gives you a better, because, just like with the difference between the Master System and the Game Gear, you get, the difficulty is slightly lower when you've got, you can see obstacles and hazards coming.
Most definitely.
So I like it.
And it's nice that they do let you choose between the soundtracks. So, like, now we don't have to fight over them anymore. Just let people pick the one they like. There's a lot of just really cool extra things in this. Like, the biggest one is probably, the addition of Tails as a playable character, which makes a significant difference. Like, I decided for my playthrough for this episode, I would play through the game as Tails, because I don't think I've ever actually finished the game as Tails before. And being able to fly over Wacky Workbench instead of having to deal with the bouncing.
Oh, man.
That helps a little bit.
Yep. He's got his full move set from Sonic 3, so you just fly over whatever you don't want to deal with.
It probably helps during Metallic Madness 3 as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oof, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The whole problem's solved. Yeah, it's really cool having Tails there, I think. But you know what the best part about it is? Now, we didn't mention this before, but in Metallic Madness Act 2, there's the whole shrinking mechanic.
I like that.
Where Sonic turns into a tiny, giant-headed version of himself to get around smaller spaces. Yep. But when you got Tails in there, and he gets shrunk down into tiny little Tails flying around. It's
adorable.
So good.
Yeah. I love all the little things, like you mentioned it has both soundtracks, and so they went back and made sure to redo like all the cues for both soundtracks so they loop properly.
Yeah.
And there's even like some extended versions. I remember I got the ending and had the US soundtrack on, and they extended the ending version of Sonic Boom a little bit to where at the very end it kind of drops out and it's just wailing on that acoustic guitar that last little bit. Ooh, it's so good. But yeah, that was something they went in to make sure that all the music, they accommodated both soundtracks perfectly.
And this is like, it is the ideal way to play Sonic CD, especially since there isn't, it's difficult to play the original version unless you have all the required hardware. But this hasn't got everything that Christian Whitehead planned for it. There are a few things did remain on the cutting room floor, which are interesting to look back on.
Like, there's apparently was a full level and like an extra boss that had to get cut. Like, the level was something called Desert Dazzle, which was apparently based on Sand Shower Zone, a cut level from Sonic 2. And, Christian Whitehead apparently did a lot of work on it, but Sega basically told him, hey, let's leave them out. We want this to be, stay authentic to the original. So that one got left on the cutting room floor. But most of what he did for that ended up getting turned into Mirage Saloon Zone for Sonic Mania.
So it worked out in the end.
Yeah, just looking at this mock-up image for Desert Dazzle, if I didn't know any better, I'd tell you, that's just Mirage Saloon, that's awesome.
And then there's the other thing, which would have been kind of cool, actually, but I get why they didn't include it.
Yeah, so the other thing was a final boss battle after getting all the time stones called Final Fever, which would have involved, fighting a big Robotnik mech, but also using like time travel as an element in the boss fight, where like the boss would basically be invincible in the present. So you'd have to use your warp speed to travel back in time, destroy it at like a point where it's more vulnerable.
Oh, cool.
It's wild.
Man, that is super cool. Also goes back to our discussion of like, the time travel is, not really used to its full potential.
That would have done it.
I kind of get it. That does toe the line. I am always find myself on understanding both sides of the preservation to make sure like the original versions of things are accessible for a historical sense, but also like especially quality of life improvements, and also stuff like, especially stuff like cut content, like Christian Whitehead would go on to like fully restore Hidden Palace Zone to hit Sonic 2, stuff like that was literally like, oh yeah, we wanted to put it into there but had to cut it for time. Or I'm like, oh well, then the original vision was unfulfilled, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that looks super cool. That also would definitely go to like, we talked about the final boss is he's kind of wimpy, kind of easy.
Yeah, this would have felt like a much more satisfying conclusion, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the potential design too. It's a very unique, almost a very unique, like we were talking about, Sonic CDs going off of Sonic 1. It's like a Sonic 1 version of the Death Egg robot from Sonic 2.
Oh, yeah.
It also kind of reminds me of the Robotnik statue in Stardust Speedway, just a bit smaller.
Yeah.
It's like they say that, some of the ideas were recycled for Titanic Monarch and Sonic Mania, and you can definitely see it a little bit.
Oh yeah, like
those little flags and stuff.
I can't believe I didn't pick up on that. Yes, of course. I mean, so if that doesn't happen, I can at least see where that work was repurposed into Mania. Yep, I see that. Neato torpedo.
Yeah, all this basically to say that, Sonic CD is probably is not my favorite of the classic saga. Like, I would probably rank it above Sonic 1, but below Sonic 2 and 3. But it is a very interesting little game that I'm glad is not as obscure now as it used to be, and that we have a version that is probably the best it will ever get, that is
Definitely
easily accessible and playable on just about anything.
And this was really important to Sonic. No matter what you think about the game itself, just its contributions to the Sonic franchise cannot be understated. Even in just like Amy Rose and Metal Sonic alone. But I just feel like there's a lot of Sonic's vibe that would carry over into Mania is taken from this too. Like, I know that's more of an amalgamation, but I feel like some of the music and some of the general look of it, and just look at and we got a picture right here of Sonic doing his super peel out. How often has that been reused and repurposed for Sonic images over the years? It's just cool. Yeah, so much cool stuff. This game, it's creative and cool. It may not be the world's best game, but it's a fun experience if you don't spend too much time in the special stages or Metallic Madness Act 3, apparently.
Yeah, we talked about it when we talked about the movie itself, but I mean, like the look and feel, the attitude, the way the characters move in the OVA is definitely from Sonic CD. The animation and the like we said, Metal Sonic. It's very cool.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing you can say about Sonic CD is the heaviest lifting it did was for actually fleshing out the character of Sonic, both as a character and also some of his game mechanics.
Definitely some in terms of his physical, how he performs physically, I guess. Those animations themselves definitely gave us a great idea for how Sonic should move in motion outside of the games.
As always, a very special thanks to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song. It's from the album Gotta Go Slow, which you should definitely check out in its entirety, and you can find more of her work on YouTube and Bandcamp and other socials. But until then, I've been GameBuddy. You can find me on Twitter at GreatJobJeremy. That's GR and the number 8.
I've been RockTheJake. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at RockTheJake.
I've been Faulerro. You can find me at FAULERRO on various socials across the internet.
And I've been CyberLink. You can find me on Twitter at CyberLink420.
Well, I think that about wraps up this episode. We've had a fun time revisiting Sonic CD. I think for our next episode, we kind of already spoiled it, but we're going to stay on this subject and we're going to do a deep dive. I think we decided to call it a listening party of both of the unique soundtracks of Sonic CD. the Japanese European release and the US release, because I think I said earlier I've been listening to them while playing the game by themselves. I even tried to break out my original copy of Sonic CD to rip those tracks and listen to a couple of them, like, you know, as lossless as possible. And they're both really fun, and I'm really looking forward to, like, you know, listening to them and discussing, like, in depth, like, each track.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a comparison, but also kind of a war. It's going to be a bit of a culture war, as the one who grew up with the Japanese.
I think it's going to result in an interesting split, personally.
Yes.
Yeah, like, not to give away my discussion topics, but I'm kind of at a place where I had the US soundtrack on my game, but also not too long after that, I got access to the internet and was able to hear, like, bits of the Japanese soundtrack. Also in, like, other media, like we mentioned not too long ago, the Man of the Year Sonic animation uses some Sonic CD music mixed in there. And so I'm ready to, like, revisit and kind of lay out my preferences. So I definitely look forward to that.
All right, well, we're going to grab a magic signpost and dash off to the future. So until then, I'm CyberLink.
I'm RockTheJake.
I'm Faulerro.
And I'm GameBuddy, and this has been The Hill is Always Greener. And yippee-ki-yay, pastel-colored resistance!
See y'all next time.
In the future.
Oh, do we have to?